the most horrifying thought crept into the Ant King's mind. Could it be? An impossible idea sent shivers through him. Am I physically weaker than this human? Even though the man was only half the size of the magical beast. To understand how the ruler of Jeju Island came to feel fear for the first time, we must go back to where it all began. The Jeju Island raid had started in chaos. Screams echoed through the cavernous tunnels as hunters fell one by one to the monstrous army of ants. Smoke and dust hung thick in the air, mixing with the metallic tang of blood. Even the most seasoned S-rank hunters were being overpowered by the Ant King. Each strike they threw seemed futile. Each advance met with merciless force. Just when it seemed there was no way out, a presence shifted the battlefield. Shadows lengthened unnaturally, moving with purpose and precision. Sung Jinwoo had arrived. A cold, eerie wind blew in from the dark side of the cave. It carried something strange, something heavy and full of danger. Jinwoo froze for a second, his senses sharp as blades. He could feel it, a chilling, sinister energy creeping closer. His eyes swept through the shadows, and then he saw it. One of the ants stood out from the rest. At first glance, it looked just like the others, but Jinwoo could tell immediately this one was different. It was him, the Ant King. Jinwoo's eyes narrowed. At the same time, the Ant King's attention locked onto him, and with a slow, confident stride, the creature began to approach. A deep, rumbling voice echoed through the cavern. "Human, the energy is strong in you." The other hunters, still trembling from the nightmare they'd just survived, instinctively stepped back. But Jinwoo didn't move. He stood firm, calm, cold, and ready, his glare fixed on the monstrous figure walking toward him. The Ant King stopped right in front of him. His sharp mandibles twitched. "Are you the king of the humans?" Jinwoo's voice was quiet but cutting. To think a bug could talk. The ant's face twisted in fury. The ground trembled as his body began to change, drawing on the strength he had stolen from the queen and the dark power he'd built through predation. The Ant King gathered every drop of magic inside him. His body swelled, his shadow grew longer. He had once been the same height as Jinwoo, but in seconds, he loomed 1.5 times taller. Then came the most ferocious roar. It was deafening, a scream that shook the walls and echoed deep into the darkness. Dust fell from the ceiling as the cave itself seemed to tremble in fear. But Jinwoo didn't even blink. Instead, a faint grin appeared on his face. "You're finally starting to resemble a bug." The Ant King snapped. In a blur, his arm lashed out, a strike packed with all his monstrous power, and it smashed into Jinwoo's face. Around the cavern, the S-rank hunters were flabbergasted. Their eyes widened, jaws dropping in disbelief. Why is he getting this close to the Ant King, they wondered. Jinwoo was a magic hunter after all. Anyone with their skills would have kept their distance, relying on ranged attacks to avoid such a deadly strike. But to everyone's surprise, Jinwoo didn't flinch. He held his ground. His boots dug into the stone floor, cracking it beneath him, as if asserting that no force could move him. The Ant King froze. That strike had everything behind it, raw, overwhelming strength, yet the human barely moved. Even the Ant King, ruler of this island, could barely comprehend what had just happened. "You withstood my power?" the Ant King growled, incredulous. The blow had been meant to kill, but all it did was tilt Jinwoo's head slightly to the side. The hunters exchanged glances, their disbelief deepening. How is he even human? Before the Ant King could even react, Jinwoo's fist shot forward, slamming into the ant's face with unstoppable force. His punch connected cleanly with the ant's face, a perfect, brutal hit. The Ant King was hurled backward like a missile, slamming into the wall behind him. Around the cavern, the other S-rank hunters stood frozen, their faces pale, eyes wide with disbelief. They had fought countless dangerous foes and even faced the S-rank Queen Ant together. Yet here they were, helplessly witnessing a single human dominate the Ant King. Is he really holding his own? Each strike Jinwoo delivered seemed impossible, pushing back the Ant King, breaking cracks into its impenetrable exoskeleton, moving faster than any of them could follow. Whispers of shock and awe rippled through the hunters. Some couldn't hide their trembling hands. Others simply stared, baffled, struggling to reconcile what their eyes were seeing. How can one human be this strong? In that moment, even the veterans realized they had never seen power like this, and the gap between Jinwoo and all others became blindingly clear. The cave trembled violently. Dust swirled like mist after a storm, debris raining down around him. The wall behind the Ant King had completely caved in, cracked and shattered as if a meteor had smashed through it. And in that chaos, Jinwoo's voice cut through, cold, sharp, and laced with mockery. What kind of ant talks that much? If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment saying Season 3. Your support will inspire me to create the narration for the next season.